Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi,
Hi,
Kate. Nice to meet you.
you too.
I'm
Thank you
just,
for doing this.
oh, no problem. I'm so excited. Fun to talk about detox right before
Mhm.
Christmas. Hey, Rach.
Hey,
Nice. Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna give it just like a couple minutes for a few more people to filter in. And while they do, just get yourself comfortable. You might want to grab a pen and paper. It's not super necessary. This is going to be recorded and you'll get a copy of it. Get yourself a glass of water or tea or champagne, whatever mood you're in. And I'm going to fiddle with my computer to make the presentation come up. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. There's so many of you guys. So exciting. Okay. I'm going to jump in because there's a lot to cover today. I was like putting it together before the call, of course. And I was like, oh, I gotta put this in and that in. So if there's things that are redundant, if you're already a nutritionist or you've been in my world for a while, then you're welcome for the repetitive information. It sticks better that way. And if you're new to my world, then also welcome. I'm excited to have you here. We're going to learn a lot today, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you going into the new year. So welcome. Just get cozy, get comfortable. This is the 2025 Detox Masterclass. Get that shit out of your mind and body. And so, obviously, like, no one's going to start a detox before Christmas. Like, I certainly am not, and neither are you. But our detox program does fill up quite quickly. And if you want to do it on your own or you're just here for extra information, then what I want to do is set you up for the new
what?
year.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to mute that person, is to set you up for the new year so that you have all the tools that you need. Um, we will be starting our detox in January, but this is like get your shit together so you know what you're doing. I always start with this quote because I think it's super, super important. But you can't try to solve a problem of the mind with the same mind that created it. And although we are not talking about food psychology today here, we are going to be talking about things that might be a little bit like jarring or you might not have heard before or might contradict some of the things. Sorry, somebody just needs to take them. Okay. Or might contradict some of the things that like Western medicine has taught you. So just if you're here because there's a perceived problem or an imbalance that you'd like to change, you're gonna have to have an open mind and challenge what you currently believe. Because honestly, if you knew how to do it, you would have already. So we're here to learn. What I'm about to share with you will address some of your physical and emotional symptoms from a holistic root cause approach. And this is going to challenge, like I said, some of the beliefs that you might have learned from Western medicine. I know when I learned about this stuff, I was like mind blown and I was like, there's just like actually no way. Especially because my doctor's answer for everything is like birth control or antidepressants or like just go to the gym. And I was just like, none of those things are working. So I need a new approach. But yeah, so just have an open mind. It's revolutionary information and it's honestly changed my life and so many others. So I'm super excited to share with you. My promise to you is that I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about opening the detox pathways, how to detox, what you need to look out for, even things in your household. I'm going to teach you why the digestive system is important and our main like detox organs. And then if you want to go deeper and you want to
I'm
like
listening to a
actually
podcast. I'm listening
guide
to
a
Zoom
detox,
right now.
I am going to show you how to do that, or I'm going to show you how to like work with us to go deeper. Okay, so if you've been in my world, you've probably seen my befores and afters. I love being able to share my own shit because I also am a firm believer of like never trust a skinny chef type of vibes. Like there's nothing worse than a nutritionist who's like never had to lose weight. Because I mean, like I'm sure they're great, but I just like I've been there, I've tried it all. I've like lost the same 100 pounds, gained the same 100 pounds over and over and over again until I really found something that worked. On the left side of the screen, you see a picture of me that was stuck in yo-yo dieting. I had a very toxic body. There was a lot of inflammation and there was hormonal imbalances. And then on the right side, I have food and weight freedom. My body is balanced. That was actually like taken 12 hours after I got after off a flight. And so typically after flights, you're like extremely bloated and you feel like shit. But I was just like, well, I'm bikini ready. And I want that for everybody. I think everybody deserves that. Okay. So I like to be a little bit interactive. I can't see the chat at all times, so there will be a time for questions at the very end of this. But if there's some burning question you have, please feel free to raise your hand or to put it in the chat. Rachel's on here and she can also interrupt me and govern that. But in the chat right now, I want to know, do you suffer from feel like shit syndrome or FLS syndrome? So feel like shit syndrome is essentially you feeling like shit and not knowing why. And so, while it is very common, it is not normal to wake up feeling achy or tired or having like aches and pains in your muscles or having brain fog or feeling sedentary or feeling fatigue or having headaches or allergies or gas after everything you eat, or even more serious problems like autoimmune diseases, migraines, asthma, acne, irritable bowels, acid reflux, or arthritis. Like these things are common, but they're not normal. So just put in the chat if this resonates with you, if you have symptoms that you're dealing with, and if you want to write down the symptoms in the chat, you can just let me know. Yes, moderate eczema and chronic fatigue. Okay, fatigue and fatty liver, awesome. Mine's very cyclical, feel great at times, feel like shit at times. Yep, I hear that. Sudden asthma. Okay, cool. Okay. I'll let you guys, like, some of you might be typing, but I'm going to move forward. So, fatigue, brain fog, bloat. Yeah. There's going to be a list of symptoms that I'll have you guys like actually look through and tally up how many of them you have at one point. But I think it's really helpful, especially because so many of the symptoms that we have, we think are just like normal, but they're super not. But this is for you if you're somebody that does have symptoms that you would like to eliminate or recover from. It's for you if you have stubborn weight. That's like you're doing everything right. It's not going away, especially if you already have like a good food psychology or if you feel like you're not like a binge eater or anything like that. That's a different program. This is also for you if you just like are fine, but you want to feel better. Like when we talk about detox, I actually hate the like new year, new me type of mentality where it's like, oh, we do a 7-day juice cleanse. Like I did a 60-day juice cleanse, 60 days, and I lost 7 pounds. And within 1 week, I gained it all back. And like when I would look at people who had done 60-day juice cleanses, they would lose like hundreds of pounds. And I had over 100 pounds to lose at that time. So like at that point, I really recognized like it's actually not what I eat. Like there's something very seriously wrong inside of my body. And I needed to understand the root cause of that. And so you could actually be on the side of things where you have these symptoms that you want to fix, or you could be on the side of things where it's like nothing's really wrong, but I've just never like detoxed properly in my life. And it's probably a good time to do it, like not just now, but at least like once doing a really deep functional detox because we are exposed to over 700,000 different chemicals on a daily basis. And most scientists actually believe it's closer to 2.4 million. This is in one single day. Okay. As soon as anything enters our body, and this can happen through like our respiratory system, through our skin, it could even like be thoughts, but that's a different thing. It's the liver's job to be able to convert these toxins into something less dangerous and then move them out of our body. But the reality is, our bodies are still very, very primitive. Like, if we think about evolution, it takes like 100 to 200 million years to like grow another pinky or grow a wing or like evolve into a different species where we have different organs and different functions for our body. That's not going to happen for a really, really long time. Like, our bodies are like 300,000 years old. And so, and 200 years ago, there were only 10 toxins in our environment. So in 200, 250 years, we now are exposed to 2.4 million on a daily basis, but we have the same livers as like our ancestors did. So like this is extremely problematic for us. This is why we all feel like shit all the time. So how do these toxins get in? Through the skin, the lungs, the digestive system, and our thoughts. But like I said, that's a completely different workshop. When the liver can't detox at the same rate as the toxin exposure, the body just naturally stores toxins. And for those of you who are nutritionists or who know about detox, all toxins are fat soluble. So what does that mean? That means that toxins require a fat to be like excreted or stored, etc. And so these toxins that aren't filtered out of our body actually get stored inside of adipose tissue or inside of fat tissue because it's much safer for when they're traveling in the blood for the blood to put them in adipose tissue than for them to travel to like your brain or your heart. Right? Like it can be very, very dangerous if it does that. So the body has these like incredible mechanisms that actually store them in places in the body. But the problem with that is that it makes that fat cell really, really, really hard to break down because it's protecting your body from releasing these toxins. So when I work with clients that have a lot of weight to lose, we always have to detox at the same rate because if not, then they're releasing a ton of toxins into their body. And like there's actual instances where people have like legitimately died from this. So it's like, it's not a joke. But if you're somebody who does struggle with that stubborn weight or has cellulite or just like these parts of the body that no matter what you do, you just can't release the weight. You like you can tone all you want. You do 100 crunches and you never see that six pack. This is something you might want to look into. Okay. So these are different instances. Why detox? Well, the first picture was a long time ago for me, but this was not changing my diet, not changing my exercise. This was like literally just working on inflammation, like through detox pathways. This was one of my clients that came to me for skin. And then as you can see in the last picture, which is also me, I like to use pictures of me because also like don't like to share their before and afters, and that's very fair. But you can see here, like this was actually the same instance as the first photo where like there's just a lot more subcutaneous fat and all of that fat was just like toxic buildup. Like I didn't change anything except for detoxing properly. Like didn't change my diet at all. And really there's 3 months between these photos. Within 3 months, like my body changed substantially. Okay, so this is the fun part. And you will need like a pen and paper or just like something you can tally. But I want you to take a look at all of these symptoms. And I want you to, some of them are a little bit repetitive. I'm mindful of that. But I want you to actually tally how many of these symptoms you have. And then once you've tallied them, put your number in the chat. Someone's a keener. It's very fast. 16, 25, 27, 16. Yeah. 25. 14, 17, 28, 25, 15, 25, 25. Anyone else? Okay. Um, so anything under 10 is usually like you probably don't need an extensive detox, but like under 5 is really where it's like you don't need to detox, you're fine. 5 to 10 is like detox would help, but it's not gonna like save or change your life. Anything over 10 is like you need to detox. Like normally we have at least one person that's like 3 and like every single person who has answered is above 10. So like this is something that you guys might want to genuinely pay attention to because like I said, like all of these things they're common, but they're not normal. And like these, if it's showing up in your body in this way, then your body's trying to speak to you. It's trying to be like, hey, there's something here, let's pay attention to it. The only way your body can talk to you is through symptoms, right? Especially if you're not like super grounded in your body. So good news is you're all in the right spot. And now we can get into it. Okay. So let's talk about the detox organs. When we talk about detox, most often we think about the liver because the liver is like the celebrity of the detox pathways. However, there are 7 areas of elimination. So the first is the skin, then the kidneys, the blood, the lymph system, the lungs, the liver, and the bowels. So when you're doing like an off the counter or over the counter type of detox, even if it's something holistic like the wild rose detox, like we're not really diving into all 7 of these things. And it's really, really very important that when we're doing a functional detox, like I said, like detoxing is not a joke, especially if we do it at like a really cellular and root cause level. It's important that all of these pathways are actually open, or else what happens is we start to remove toxins that are stored inside of organs, inside of fat cells, inside of your body, and they get put in the bloodstream, and the bloodstream like doesn't know what to do with it, right? So they either circulate and you feel really, really sick. When I first did my first detox without opening my detox pathways, I turned green and had to go to the hospital. Green. Okay. So like I learned the hard way on myself, but now we know. But having all of these detox pathways open is going to allow reduce the symptoms, Herxheimer symptoms. We'll talk about that in a moment, but it's also going to allow the toxins and like all the hard work you're doing to actually get out of the body rather than getting stored in other places. So when doing a proper functional detox, we want to make sure all of these areas of elimination are open. The liver is the main detoxing organ, but like the liver has so many other jobs. Like the liver's other jobs are to convert hormones, regulate metabolism, and it helps to produce things like neurotransmitters. So it can't just all fall in the liver. How do you open these? I'm going to explain. Don't worry. So the digestive system, I mean, obviously I'm a nutritionist, so I'm super biased, but I actually just recorded a podcast with a functional medicine dietitian, and she was amazing. And she had said the same thing. Like your digestive system is actually like the opening to everything. Yes, we can get toxic buildup by, if we're exposed to something crazy like mercury or lead or whatever, but those are very rare instances. For the most part, your digestive system is where you're going to be like most things are coming in. And even if you don't have digestive issues, if let's say what you have is like depression or mood disorders, your digestive system is working with your brain to create these neurotransmitters. So as in like the way that we look at root causes in functional medicine is we always look at the digestive system first. I mean, arguably now it's like we look at the emotions in the brain that led to a infiltration in the digestive system. But I'm just going to take you through this really, really quickly. So we have the mouth. So you want to think about your digestive system as like you're a donut, basically. You have a hole that it goes through your mouth, and that hole, like a tube, continues all the way out your anus. And that hole and that tube is separate from what's inside your body. So if you put food in your mouth and it goes into your stomach and then it goes into your small intestine, large intestine, it technically doesn't go into your body or bloodstream unless your digestive system literally selects it and puts it into your cells. And so you're just kind of this like large tube, or the digestive system is this large tube, but it's the mouth, the stomach, the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the small intestine, and then the large intestine. If you watch my TED Talk, you'll know my TED Talk is you are not what you eat. You are instead what you think about what you eat. I'm going to say in this module, you are not what you eat. You are what you absorb into your being. And so that's what I was trying to say, right? It's like you can eat whatever, but it doesn't actually matter, because what matters is how are you actually absorbing these things? Are you metabolizing them properly? Where are they going? Are you able to break down your food, et cetera, et cetera? So when we think about digestion, there's two or three different like processes. The first is the digestive process. So that's mechanical digestion, like you're physically chewing or like the stomach is churning. And then there's chemical digestion. So we have like different chemicals in our body that will break down food, like hydrochloric acid that's in your stomach, or bile that comes from your liver and gallbladder. Then we have absorption. So what are we absorbing? And then what are we eliminating? The stomach is important, and especially if you're somebody who on that symptom page, you said you dealt with things like excessive burping or acid reflux or bloating, and or even like cravings for food. The stomach might be one of the reasons. So food is going to enter the stomach. So you chew it in your mouth, food enters the stomach, and then this triggers the release of hydrochloric acid. So this is like the acid that breaks down the food. We also release enzymes and intrinsic factor, which has to do with absorbing B12, but you don't really need to know that. The hydrochloric acid's job is to sterilize what's going into your stomach, and it activates pepsin, which is this enzyme that breaks down protein. Then it churns everything, and then there's a process of peristalsis, which allows it to reach a pH, a very low pH of 2.3, which is very acidic, and then it puts it into the duodenum. So the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because we're going to be talking about some of the root causes to why you have these symptoms and why we need to detox. And hydrochloric acid in the stomach is kind of your first defense. So, for example, and you can put this in the chat, but have any of you guys gone on vacation and gotten like sick, like gotten like traveler's diarrhea or thrown up or food poisoning or anything like that? Just put it in the chat if you have. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, right. So one of the reasons why this happens is because we, just like we have a microbiome inside of our bodies, which is like full of different types of bacteria and things that are symbiotic that work with us, we also have parasites and pathogens. And we're going to go into all of that, and it's going to be very graphic. So just fair warning. But we have pathogens and parasites that are endogenous or like natural in our environment. So, for example, like liver flukes are really common here. And so if you get exposed to a liver fluke here, you might not have this like massive traveler's diarrhea, this like overreaction. But when we go and we travel in different places, they have much different parasites that actually will cause this like crazy traveler's diarrhea reaction. And it's important to note that, because like just because you didn't have this like crazy traveler's diarrhea reaction here, it doesn't mean you don't have parasites. It just means that your body's used to them. Like it's like we live in the same zone as them. But if you go away and you've ever had food poisoning or anything like that, then like you've definitely been exposed to a pathogen, a parasite or whatever. And then it's just like, has your body been able to get rid of it properly, or did it stick around and then wreak havoc? So I have a lot of clients that come to me because they got sick like 5 years ago on vacation, and they've just never been the same since. Like they've had stomach aches every month since, or they have bloating and gas ever since. And like, that's just a telltale sign that we have a parasite, and we got to go in and like actually tackle it. The large intestine's job is to absorb water. This is out of order. Should we do the small intestine first? Maybe I missed it. Not sure. Anyways, the large intestine's job is to absorb water, and it also the large intestine is where you're going to find most of your microbiome. So if you have bacteria inside your small intestine, it's called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. And you might be somebody that has this, because one of the classic symptoms for this is bloating, but it's bloating in like the upper area. I'm pointing to my stomach here. So it's like you're going to get bloating up here rather than like in the lower stomach area. And it's usually pretty painful, and it happens after you eat certain things. But the large intestine also creates some of our B vitamins. So if your processes aren't working properly, or if there's infiltration, then you might just want to take a supplemental B vitamin. Also, because B vitamins are really important for the detox process. They're a part of like phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox. But and some of my favorite organs to talk about with the detox process are the supplementary organs. So the liver plays many roles throughout the body, but one of the most important ones for detox is it produces something called bile. Bile gets sent to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder releases bile, and bile emulsifies fats. So when I'm working with clients, and this is why I mentioned, we're exposed to 700,000 different toxins, the liver gets overwhelmed very quickly because there is just like so much toxicity in our environment. And so when that happens, bile gets really sluggish and really sticky. And then if we're not releasing bile properly, we're not able to emulsify or break down fat properly, which means the body just stores all of it instead of like using it properly, shuttling it like healthy fat versus non-healthy fat, or just eliminating it and releasing it. And one of the ways that you can tell if this is happening to you is if your stool floats instead of sinks. So if you go to the bathroom and you notice that your stool is floating, it's because there's undigested fat in there, so you're not releasing enough bile. And then the pancreas is going to produce like enzymes like that help to break down your food. Okay. The liver and the gallbladder, I know I just said like it's the celebrity and like we need all of them, but the liver and the gallbladder really are the two main detox organs that I would say, like, especially if you're here for stubborn weight or anything, we just like they're the ones that we hyper focus on, especially because of that like bile process. Bile gets congested really, really quickly. So like I've done liver flushes with like 18-year-olds that like they haven't even like lived their life yet, and they flush like 400 stones, and it's just like a crazy thing to see. I've never done it with somebody under 18, and I wouldn't suggest it. But anyways, we do offer a liver flush too in the Mindful Clinic. If you're interested in it, you can just message us after. But the liver and the gallbladder are the two like main organs that are going to work through that like detox process through fat and fat soluble toxins. Bile emulsifies the fat. And if it's unable to do this, so emulsify is just like a fancy word for breaking down. If it's unable to do this, then we form gallstones. And then when we form gallstones, it's even harder for us to release the bile. And then we store all the toxic buildup, and it gets stored in our fat cells. Okay. So let's talk about the food. If you're somebody who has had these symptoms, you've probably gone to a nutritionist or like a dietitian or someone holistic, and you're like, all right, like I have sugar cravings and eczema and stubborn weight. And they're like, you probably have candida, which we'll talk about in a second. And then they put you on a candida diet, and you're like, you can't even eat fruit, and you might get better for like 3 months. And then as soon as you start eating any type of sugar again, you're going to get candida again, and you're going to follow this cycle forever. And that's because the food genuinely doesn't fucking matter. Like, if you're somebody who is eating McDonald's every day, of course, we're going to have to change that, but not just like for detox purposes, but like just for like overall health. But if you're somebody who eats like fairly well, so for me, I eat everything. I love, like, right before this call, I had 2 Reese's Pieces cups. Like, I don't regret it. I don't think I go one day without eating like some form of chocolate or whatever. And like, I don't really think about it anymore. But when I used to do parasite cleansing or candida cleanses, I had to be on these crazy strict diets. And the funny thing is, I didn't get any better. And that's because it's not about the food. It's like you don't blame the food, you blame the body. Why can't the body digest this food properly? But again, if you're somebody who's doing these things in excess, you're overeating, you're binge eating, talk to us after. You're probably a better fit for MFM, and you can do the detox inside of MFM. But anyways, there are some foods that like harm on the detox process. Chinese medicine says frozen and ice cold foods and beverages. And that's because like, if you think about cold, it's going to congeal, right? So like bile will get hard. Any undigested fat is going to get hard. Your biliary ducts are not going to be able to like filter and like loosely just kind of like let things flow. So having warm teas, warm water is always preferable. Anything deep fried, of course, like I love deep fried shit. I don't have it every day, but I love it. And again, like it's totally fine to have it not in excess. So I'm just gonna mute you. Um, Hard to digest oils. So like I'm not like an anti-plant seed oil person. Like, okay, just, I don't cook with vegetable oil, but like if it's in a chocolate bar I'm eating, I'm fine with it. But dairy honestly is probably the biggest number one issue for detox and also pathogens because pathogens love dairy. And I find like I don't put any of my clients on restrictive diets. So if you do end up wanting to do a detox with us or like a functional detox, I'm not ever cutting out any foods. I just say reduced dairy. And then things like aged cheeses. So if we think about like blue cheese, like it's blue because it has mold on it. So like if you have mold exposure, if you have candida, or if you have like any of these pathogens, it's just going to exacerbate that inflammation. And then cashews and peanuts and like nut butters, they just grow mold very, very quickly. So peanuts have something called aflatoxin on them that grows pretty much right after they're picked. And it's very inflammatory. And if there's inflammation in the body, then like it's going to be hard for your body to actually release or metabolize anything else because your body's like focused on reducing the inflammation instead. Foods that really help or foods that heal are bitters. So anything that's bitter, like dandelion leaf or like greens, kale, any of those like bitter, there's a lot of herbs that do this, but any of those bitter, like parsley, any bitter substance is going to actually help bile to flow. Cooked beets, artichokes, sunchokes, carrots, apples, cooked leafy greens, arugula, fresh lime, lemon juice, aloe vera juice, and grapefruit. Most of these actually have components that help the liver detox. Fun fact, carrots are a carrot a day will actually help to remove excess estrogen. So if you're somebody that knows you have estrogen dominance, carrots, raw carrots, organic, I would go with, are one of the easiest ways to get rid of it. And then things like soluble fiber. So, you know how I was like, okay, obviously the bowels are a way that we digest. Sorry, who's not muted? Okay. The bowels are a way that we digest. Well, okay, let's say you're doing a detox, maybe you're doing like a juice cleanse or something off the counter, and your body's like, all right, we're going to release all these toxins. It goes in the bloodstream. The blood's like, oh no, where do we put this? Because everything's overwhelmed. Or like you're breaking down fat cells and the fat's releasing toxins, like it has to go somewhere. So when we add soluble or insoluble fiber into our diet, the fiber literally binds to the toxins and then removes them from our body. So a really hot tip that I do with my own clients is I have them do a tablespoon of chia seeds in water every day, or they'll do psyllium husk. But if you're somebody who struggles with constipation, do not do psyllium husk, do the chia seeds instead. And then healthy oils like omega-3s, olive oil, and coconut oils. Coconuts are great for detox. They're full of lauric acid, and they just like the actual coconut water has specific electrolytes that like the sodium potassium ratio is going to help your blood to actually pump better. Because on every single blood cell or every single capillary, there's an Na plus K pump. So an Na is sodium, K is potassium. There's a pump that pumps in and out, like out waste in water, out waste in water. And so it's actually going to help the bloodstream to like pump out the good, bad, pump in the good shit, out the bad shit. Hot water, again, the heat just like opens the biliary ducts properly. And then there are certain herbs that help with detox, like triphala, shilajit, gentian, wormwood, chamomile, and andrographis. Andrographis is the king of bitters, it's also called. If you're doing this alone, I wouldn't do wormwood alone because wormwood actually comes from the same tree as absinthe, fun fact. And if you take it too often, you can actually harm the liver, just like alcohol would. Okay, do I have any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Perfect. Thanks, Natalie. Okay, who should not detox? This is a really important thing. If you have liver or kidney failure, just work with like a medical doctor or like work with a practitioner one-on-one. If you feel weak or you're underweight, or if you have type 1 diabetes, I would just say don't do it alone. If you're in chemotherapy also too, it's not the time to detox. Like there's a time and place for that. Just like work with your MD or your oncologist. We do work with people that have type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It's just that like I wouldn't, if you do have diabetes, I wouldn't suggest doing it on your own. Just because as we're detoxing, it can like manipulate your blood sugar a little bit in a positive way, but you just want to make sure it's monitored. And then if you're pregnant or nursing, please do not detox. Okay, so I showed you that whole page of symptoms. You guys all have a lot of them. So like, why do we have them? Like, if we think about something like, okay, what's a really common one? Like PCOS or irregular periods. Like, why is your period irregular? Why do you have PCOS? Why do we have hormonal imbalances? Why do we have blood sugar imbalances? We can blame the food, we can blame the environment, but the truth is, like, when we say we have hormonal imbalances, like the hormonal imbalance isn't the problem, it's the side effect from the deeper problem. So when we start to break down the construct in holistic and functional medicine, really at the root of everything is only three things. There's only three ways that the body, there's a magic number four, I'll tell you that, but like there's only three ways that the body can actually become imbalanced. The first way is toxicity. So you've been exposed to a toxin. The second is deficiency. So you have a deficiency in something. And even then, that's not a root cause. Like, why do you have a deficiency? And the third is an emotional, you've had an emotional trauma. And under toxicities are pathogens. And so just from my experience, like I've been doing this since 2016. So, oh my gosh, almost a decade. Holy shit. I've been doing this for a decade. And like really at the root of pretty much 99.9% of people that I've worked with, pathogens are the problem. And everybody has pathogens, like we all have them. So what I'm about to show you is going to be quite graphic, but it's really fun and exciting if you're super nerdy like me. But like pathogens are probably the number one reason that I see for hormonal imbalances, for skin issues, even if we're talking about like toxicities or any of those things. And let's say you've had an emotional trauma that's thrown your body off completely. That emotional trauma is going to reduce your immune system, which is going to allow pathogens to come inside and start to like run rampant. So let's get into it. So what is a pathogen? Pathogens are like living entities that invade our body. We all have them. Like we all have microbes. Most of our body is microbial. But it can also be viruses. So like raise your hand if you've ever had like herpes simplex virus. So like I get cold sores. That's a part of herpes simplex virus. If you ever had mononucleosis, if you've ever had like any type of virus, viruses that you're exposed to like stay in your body. They just run dormant. And then if you're somebody like me who gets cold sores, you'll know that like when you're super stressed, a cold sore will come out and you're just like, fuck. I also don't really get them that much anymore. Like since I detox like every like 3 or 4 years, but and I know how to treat them. So if you're somebody who gets them, message me after because I can give you some hot tips on that. But because they're the fucking worst. But also yeasts. So we're talking about like candida here. There's hundreds of different strains of candida or candidiasis. If you're somebody who gets like reoccurring yeast infections, reoccurring UTIs. Yeah, Catherine?
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
That's okay. If you're somebody that gets reoccurring yeast infections, reoccurring UTIs, like candida is the problem. But it's not really because candida is supposed to be in the body. Parasites usually are the problem, and then mold is a different beast. You'll know if you have mold, and if not, like book a discovery call, we'll talk about it. Candida. Who's heard of candida before? Tips for cold sores, please. Yes, Natalie, I got you. Yeah, Kayla, cool. Awesome. Candida is super trendy. It's probably like all over TikTok. And Candida was my first like exposure to detox. I was learning about it. I was like, oh my God, I have candida. Candida is a natural yeast that lives inside of our digestive tract. Okay. It's supposed to be there. It serves a purpose. The purpose it serves is to break down glucose. So like it assimilates sugars like glucose. It's supposed to be there. Candida loves sugars. So Candida, if you're somebody who really craves like processed foods, sugars, breads, Candida is usually at the root of that. And fun fact about Candida, if you're even thinking about eating a donut or like you know you're about to, Candida will anticipate that and start to like act up. and like cause like run a ruckus in your body. Candida is a very smart pathogen, but it's also very, very, very stubborn, and it mutates really quickly. So if you're like, oh, I've done a candida cleanse because I took like uh, Pau Darko or caprylic acid for 2 months. Like candida gets really used to that stuff, and then they grow super bugs because it's like now that's not effective anymore. So you have to keep switching it up. So this is why doing it guided is really important, because it just like it's hard to navigate on your own. Um, but candida is very, very stubborn. And if you're somebody who's taken rounds of antibiotics because you had an infection or whatever, you want to think about your body like open real estate. And so we should have about 90 to 10% good bacteria to bad bacteria. So the good bacteria should populate the 90% of our body. And yes, there's a connection between hypoglycemia and candida, absolutely. Um, uh, the good bacteria should populate about 90% of the body, and then the 10% is like the bad bacteria, like the yeasts and like the potential parasites and whatever. What happens when we take antibiotics is it wipes out all of our good bacteria. Like, look, think about the word antibiotic. It's a biotic, so it's working on bacteria. But candida is not bacteria, it's fungus. And so, or it's a yeast and fungus. So you're wiping out all the good shit, and then candida can grow and proliferate. So another like yay, I'm so excited. So another really common like origin story I see in my clinic is somebody's like, I had rounds of antibiotics, and ever since then I've gotten eczema and psoriasis, or ever since then I get bloating after every meal, or ever since then I've gained like 50 pounds. And it's like, yes, okay. So we've wiped out all the good shit, and now candida has grown and run a rampage in your body. It also proliferates very, very quickly, especially if our immune system is weak. So that can happen through rounds of antibiotics, or it can happen through like stressful events that we go through, or a digestive system is compromised. Once, and if when I went to my doctor and I was like, I have candida, she was like, do you have a yeast infection? I was like, no. And she was like, well, then you don't have candida. I'm like, that's simply not true. So candida isn't just yeast infections, it is systemic. So candida also loves the brain, it loves the lungs. So candida actually is one of the root causes for asthma because it's often in the lungs. So cool that I think somebody said they have that symptom. Yeah. It causes a lot of inflammation in the entire body. So candida releases something called acetaldehyde, which actually is the byproduct of alcohol. So this is like when you're walking around, you just feel like shit. Like, you know how some mornings you feel hungover even though you're not? That's usually candida. Especially because it's the acetaldehyde that creates that hangover feeling, not the actual like alcohol in your bloodstream itself. Candida is a very hungry bacteria, so food cravings are huge for it. And some symptoms that are like specifically related to candida are uncontrollable cravings, skin disorders like tinea versicolor is really common, acne, psoriasis, itchy scalp, dandruff, eczema, so much more. Estrogen dominance is huge with candida. But like I said, candida actually is not a root cause. I mean, because it's supposed to be in our digestive system, right? So doing candida cleanses over and over again isn't going to solve your problem. If you get reoccurring candida infections, you want to look for bigger pathogens that are there. And that's what we're going to go into now. Parasites. Love-hate relationship with them. There's billions of different strains. We all have them. So when I was learning about it, I was like, oh God, I don't have that. Like, no way, that's gross. And then you do a parasite cleanse and you just like literally see what comes out of you and you're like shocked, mind blown. But it's not a question of whether you have them or not. We all have them. It's just, can your immune system keep them in check? So keep them in that 10%. Or is your immune system weakened because you're extremely stressed all the time? You like hate your job, you aren't like you don't have time to pour back into yourself, you're a people pleaser, whatever it is. And then they start to run a rampage and proliferate and grow and lay eggs and all the fun stuff. Parasites typically have their own ecosystems. This is why when we travel, we get really sick. When they're like I said, when they're endogenous to our ecosystem, it easily goes undetected. And then we just have like random symptoms. Like we just have like PCOS, or we have like thyroid issues are really common with parasites, especially hypothyroidism, or autoimmune conditions are massive for parasites. They also love glucose and they increase cravings. They severely impact mental health. They infiltrate the nervous system. They steal your nutrients. One of the coolest things about parasites is they come out on the full moon and the new moon sometimes, and they actually come out to mate and they like lay eggs, and they can lay over 30,000 eggs in one full moon cycle. And so if you're, you know how they say like on the full moon, like the crazies are out. I'm like, is it us or is it the parasites, that are coming out and like infiltrating our brains? My sister, she's like 56 now, but when she was in her 20s, she went to Guyana and she was teaching there and she got really sick and she was like hospitalized because she got like a bug. She has literally never been the same since. She got breast cancer really young. She had a stroke, and every full moon, she gets vertigo and has to go to the hospital. And of course, she's family. She doesn't listen to me, but I'm like, you still have a parasite. Like I just know it's parasites, and like nobody listens to me in my family, so it's fine. But like I'm telling you this story because it can go so undetected. It's not just that you have loose bowels or you're throwing up. Like these things can live inside of us and then like breed and cause a bunch of different issues. So most people think that if they have parasites, they actually lose weight. That's only one specific type of parasite, a tapeworm. In most cases with parasites, you're actually going to gain weight because they're taking all the good things and they throw the body off balance so much that your digestive system doesn't function properly. So you're not actually absorbing nutrients properly and feeding your cells. So your cells just become like really rigid and you hold on to everything. Okay, this is super graphic. So I'm just like an FYI. When people come to me with symptoms and they're not like a candidate for food psychology stuff, they're pretty much no matter what you have, a detox can solve your problem. Like, and I'm not just saying that because like I'm saying that because like that is the truth. Like I've done this for so long. And if it can't, like we will figure it out. But for the most part, nobody comes to me and they're like, I have parasites. Like they come to me, they have all these symptoms, and I'm like, I think you have parasites. And they're like, no, I don't. And I'm like, okay, let's just try. Let's just see, and then we'll see what comes out. What? Okay, so this is my dilemma. Immune system impacted by stress, higher susceptibility to pathogens, immune system impacted, more pathogens. So we have to modulate the stress first, but then what happens when you start moving pathogens and it goes, yes, 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 Catherine. Okay, so this is why I also like my whole practice is mind body, right? So like I have clients that come and do the detox, and a couple months later they have to do the detox again, or like a year later they have to do the detox again. Why? Because they didn't address the nervous system in the first place. So if you're actually going to do like a course with us, or you're going to do like, and you're coming to the calls, like I'm addressing you like whole mind body. Like we're not just like focusing on the pathogens, because the pathogens only got there because there was a susceptibility. So like I have to actually figure out what that susceptibility is and help your nervous system regulate so we can build you up, like build up that strength, etc. The thing is too that the pathogens being there are keeping you and you're exactly. So it's this crazy dynamic because you can't ever get out of that hypervigilance with stress if you have a foreign invader. Like all day long within the subconscious, your body's going foreign invader, sends a message back up to the brain. The brain's like, sound the alarm, put the immune system at it, sends a message back down. And this is happening all day long. So like, it's no wonder you're anxious all the time. It's no wonder you're stressed all the time. The littlest thing, like if somebody drops a plate or whatever, and you like, have this overreaction. It's like, we're all in this state of hypervigilance because like there's so much shit going on inside of our body, and there's a constant alarm. And so you have to have the perfect balance of like removing the root cause, so removing the pathogen and regulating the nervous system at the same time. But that's a great question. Okay, so the pictures I'm going to show you are pictures of parasites that have come out of my clients. It's super graphic. Pretty much every single client that I've done this with that you're going to see in these pictures were like, I don't have parasites. And I was like, okay. So, and then Catherine's like, ready. Yay. I live for parasite pictures. Yeah, seriously. Okay. Cool. So we're going to see a few different varieties here. This large guy, the large skinny ones, these are usually Ascaris. And if they're poop colored like this, they're usually living inside of the digestive system. So parasites can live anywhere. Really, really, really tiny microscopic parasites can live in the lymph system. And like that's where you're going to see a lot of cellulite. And just like a lot of like you either don't get sick at all ever or you get sick all the time. Inflammation too, but these large guys are living inside the digestive system and like they steal all of your nutrients and it's not good, but like out of any of them, the large guys are actually the most benign. It's the little guys that you want to worry about because they like wreak havoc and they have die off exposure and they release their own set of toxins. So anyways, these are Ascaris. The little earthwormy looking ones over here are protozoa. And again, they're living in the digestive system. But one of the cool ones that you can see here is the liver flukes. So liver flukes always float and they look like rolled up tomato peels. And so you can see here in this picture, like they're the floaty things in the water that look like rolled up tomato peels. And if you just even have loose stools, so like let's say you just like ate something that didn't agree with you and you like have diarrhea, just look in the toilet because 9 times out of the 10, you're going to see liver flukes there. Liver flukes are so common. It's in our water. They're also like on unwashed lettuce, etc. How do we tell? Well, yeah, these are pooped out, Natalie. How we tell the difference between tomato skins and liver flukes? I mean, like if you didn't eat tomatoes, they're liver flukes for sure. And if you did, then I don't know, like tomato peels like typically aren't just floating on their own. Like tomato peels are typically like inside or like broken down by our digestive system, like a part of the poop, right? So yeah, these are all pooped out. Here's more liver flukes. Liver flukes are also very annoying because remember how I talked to you about like how the liver is like the most important organ and liver flukes burrow themselves in the biliary duct. So then like you're not releasing bile, you're not emulsifying fats, your fat gets really stubborn. You can't release any toxins. You can't, you just like hold on to everything. This white one over here, it's clear. So it's not living in the digestive system. It's actually recently fed. You can see like the blood inside of it still. And this could be anywhere. So these longer ones probably wouldn't be in the lymph system, but they might be in the lungs. They could really be anywhere. They could be in the legs. They could be really anywhere. But it's not in the bowel. It's not in the digestive system. But when you're doing a detox, like a functional detox like this, it's put in the digestive system to poop it out. So just so that's clear, because people always ask. They can be like really, really long, like really, really, really long. So these are just like some examples of clients. Also, if you don't want to like dig through your poop, that's cool. You can just like look, and if there's like a little mouse tail, how do we avoid reinfection after doing a detox if they're so common? Yeah, good question. So, I mean, like if you're doing so the functional detox that we offer is 4 months long. If you've never done a functional detox, like you should, just because we all have them. But the goal of doing the detox isn't to get every single parasite out. The goal of the detox is to remove the majority of the infection so that your immune system can actually boost up and protect you from future exposure. So for example, like the last time I did a parasite cleanse was probably like 2.5 years ago. And recently I went through something really, really stressful. And around a full moon, I got like a typical symptom for me with parasites. So I was like, okay, like my immune system's not happy. So I took a little bit of like para-3 and called it a day. And so like this isn't something that you should be like doing every year at all. Like you should do it really good once. And then you need to work on like, there's different ways that I like protect myself. So like, for example, if I'm going on vacation, I take para-3 no matter what. But ultimately making sure that your immune system is boosted and like being able to regulate around stress and optimizing on the digestive system is the most important thing also, because we have like that hydrochloric acid, our stomach acid is designed to sterilize, right? So we have defense mechanisms in us. It's just that at one point in time, it wasn't enough and something got let in. So just like basic health. And at the end of our detox, we do a gut repair, which also is going to like help the uh, hydrochloric acid function properly again. You should be able to like not re-expose yourself. And if you are getting reoccurring affections, it's time to look at the emotional root causes. Here's some more fun guys. This one's probably not in the digestive system. I don't know where, but yeah. Okay. Period parasites. So fun. So if you're somebody that gets what are they called? blood clots in your period. I would encourage you to, with a tissue paper, obviously, like pull it apart and see if it pulls apart like a blood clot would, or if it pulls apart like a worm. There are specific types of parasites. Hookworm is really common, that love the ovaries. And this is one of the reasons why we get PCOS. So if we think about what a cyst is, a cyst actually often gets formed in the body to protect the body from something. So like if, for example, if like you ever got yeah, Natalie, check your blood clots, man. Like when I have a client with PCOS, I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to work on blood sugar, but like more importantly, we need to do the detox. Like that's like where the cysts are coming from. But if you were to ever get like a piece of metal in your like skull or something, your skull, like your body would literally create a cyst around it, right? To protect that thing from coming in. So, yeah, painful period. Yeah, seriously, like if you're somebody who has painful periods, if you have irregular periods, even things like endometriosis, like parasites are often at the root of it. These are hookworms. So you can always tell hookworms because they're thicker on one side and then they have like a little tail. Yeah, that's me. Even fibroids in my uterus. Yeah, Natalie. Oh, babe, you need to detox. But the good news is we have a solution. But yeah, they can be really jarring when you first see them, but lots of fun. And also like, okay, beautiful. If you want to send them to me, like I'm all about it. I fucking love parasite photos. Um, but oh my gosh, the Natalie's. But yeah, it's like obviously having a period is not a comfortable thing, even if you have balanced hormones, but literally like I used to not be able to function, like taking Tylenol every day, like in my bed, can't function. The other day I got my period, I didn't even know I got it. Like I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh, interesting. And like that's what I want for everybody. Like I just such balanced hormones that you just like don't even know your period's coming. So yeah. Okay. These are just some results. So I'm showing you this client specifically. She did MFM because she had a history of bulimia. But there's only 3 pounds difference between these two photos. So like it wasn't a weight loss thing. Like this was like because she had bulimia, her stomach acid was obviously not well, or like not optimized. And so that actually allowed in a bunch of pathogens and created like a gut dysregulation. So all we did was the detox and like sealed up the gut, and like look at the difference in these photos. It's crazy. Um, that's me sometimes. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. This client did not have a major food addiction, so she was just a detox client. She just had pathogens. She didn't change her eating at all. Her entire body composition changed. And she's actually like this picture I think was like almost 5 years ago now. So she is still extremely, extremely lean. This is a client from Detox. Oh, this one was one of my favorites because she was like, I get really bad stomach aches about once a month. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, does it happen to be around a full moon? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, there's a full moon at the end of this week. Like, let's see what happens. Like, message me. She did a discovery call and she was like, I got it. I got the stomach ache. And I was like, you have parasites. And she was like, no, I don't. Because she said she got sick on vacation. She lives in the States. So she went to the doctors in the States and she was like, I think I have parasites because I got sick on vacation. I have these stomach aches. They did a parasite test in Western medicine, like at her doctor's. They were like, we didn't find anything. But if you go fishing in the water and you don't catch a fish, it doesn't mean there's no fish in the water. It's my favorite quote about parasites. Like they're so hard to catch. And they're only testing for like a few of them, right? Versus like, and this client is one of them where like she was shitting legitimate chow mein. Yeah, so I'm really proud of this one. Yeah. And then this again, this client actually had hypothyroidism and not Graves, but the other one, Hashimoto's. And parasites love the thyroid too. That the thyroid parasites are very finicky, so work with a practitioner. But this was a really good transformation as well. Okay. Any questions so far? I'm gonna go a little bit over time, but if you have to hop off, I totally understand. Um, any questions so far, or shall I move on? Okay. So if you're doing a functional detox, I'm shitting chow mein, Lisa. Yeah. So if you're doing a functional detox or really any detox in general, you can expect something called Herxheimer reactions. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen. No questions, but I need this. Hey, that's what we're here for. Herxheimer reactions are just like toxic buildup. So when we start to release the toxins, or we start to kill pathogens, pathogens release their own toxins, and then we just like are full of toxic shit. And sometimes that can cause things like nausea, dizziness, changes in stools, frequent urination, skin eruptions, increased bloating, and gas. It doesn't happen to everybody, but sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. We do hopefully a good job in the clinic to prevent a lot of these things from happening or keep it like very minimal, like 2 weeks. But I do have clients that have just like have a lot of resistance in their cellular function, and then we have to just go a little bit slower. But again, that's the benefit of working with a practitioner, where like I can muscle test you and I can see like what your body needs and what it doesn't need at that time. But this is very common if you're going to attempt a detox. There's something, so I think I had a question in the beginning where it was like, how do I open up all the detox pathways? There's so many things that we can do from like a lifestyle perspective to open up these pathways on a daily basis. So one of my favorites are coffee enemas. Everyone hates them until they start doing them, and then they get addicted to them. But coffee enemas are a really great way to not just, it's not like a colonic. Colonics are just going to do the colon, but they're also helpful. Coffee enemas are actually going to go flush the liver, the gallbladder, the portal vein, and your entire small and large intestine. So coffee enemas are definitely preferable. And it's also going to increase your glutathione production in your liver, which is great. Castor oil packs, so you can put those on like any of your organs, especially if you're somebody that deals with fibroids or any of the hormonal stuff, hormonal imbalances. You put the castor oil pack on your ovaries. Dry brushing, that's for your lymph system. Acupuncture is really helpful. Sleep between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. every night, your liver detoxes. So, like, just sleeping at that time is going to help you detox. Sunlight is going to activate the mitochondria in your body, which is actually going to help all the detox processes, and it's going to open the biliary ducts. And rebounding, so like jumping, that's also for your lymph system. Which, did I miss any symptoms? Kidneys, drink more water, obviously. Um, Blood, you can do bloodletting, but wouldn't do that on your own. You can go and donate blood, or you can do cupping is good for the blood system, or like any rebounding, any cardiovascular exercise is like the actual right answer for that. And all the other ones I touched on here. But when you do a functional detox, even if you don't do all these things, you're taking specific herbs that are working on all the detox pathways. So in the functional detox, the first month, we're not even tackling pathogens. We're just opening up pathways. And we do that in a very specific order. There are also like things that you can do in your home just to like lighten the exposure. So there's tons of chemicals in our like common home and body products. I'm very much like, if you follow me and you know me, I'm like not a crazy fanatic anymore. I used to be. But I'm the type of person that has like Bath and Body Works in my guest bathroom, and then I use like natural soap in the shower, you know? So it's just like, you don't have to be perfect, but like where you can lighten the load, I would suggest doing that. So you want to just like look for some of these toxins in like your shampoo, your conditioner, your soaps, the things you put on your body every single day. And then one of the most important things that I actually would suggest for everybody is just getting a natural toothpaste. We have a few favorites in our clinic. Rach, do you remember the ones that were in the 1111, the ones that sponsored us? Do you remember what they were called?
I don't think so, but I can find out. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, I have it. Anyways, if you are interested in natural a toothpaste that actually work, because some of them are just like, that didn't feel clean at all. Just message me on Instagram, or you can email me and I'll send you some of my favorites. But especially with toothpaste, we want to be careful because it's literally going into our mouth. And also toothpaste that is going to have fluoride in it. Fluoride is a halogen, which is going to compete for absorption with any of the other halogens. So iodine, it's going to bump out iodine, and we need iodine for the thyroid to work. So obviously I'm like weight loss queen. So anything that's going to like affect or like stall weight loss for my clients, I'm like, that's a no brainer. Let's just like change that. But these are just some of the things that you can look out for. And then also our water. So I hope we're not still drinking tap water, although like when I was just on vacation in London and Lisbon, not Lisbon, but like in London, and like I drank from the fountains. I'm like, I'm alive. It's okay. We're all gonna be okay. But like in the water that you're drinking every day, like a Brita filter is bare minimum. But there's tons of shit that's in our water, and you can actually go to this website, ewg.com, and see the area that you're in and actually see what's in your water. But the most shocking thing that I think is in the water is the amount of pharmaceuticals. So like we're like, why are infertility rates so high? But like, there's literally birth control in our water. Or like, why are we all depressed and feel shitty? And like, there's like SSRIs in our water. So yeah, this is just something to like definitely consider. When you're detoxing, you want to be drinking about minimum half your body weight in ounces in like filtered water. And then you just want to make sure that you're like remineralizing. So you can take a multi-mineral, or you can do something really simple like a pinch of fucking sea salt in your water, which is my favorite way to go. Okay, so I want you to imagine a life where you wake up every day with energy. The stubborn weight melts right off of you. You digest everything with ease. Every day is a good skin day. Your hair is luscious and thick and it grows effortlessly. You get your period at the same time every month and it's relatively painless, and you are vibrant and magnetic. If you want this, say yes in the chat. Me too. Hell yeah. Right? Like who doesn't want this? Um Yeah. Okay. So first thing I want to say is it's not your fault. All right. Like I've literally been there. I've done it. I've worked with so many people in the past 10 years now. And like it's never for lack of desire. Like we all want to get better. We all want to be healthy. I'm a mom of two. I run my own business. I'm the only financial earner in my family. So like I'm super, super fucking busy. But if I don't pour back into myself, like what is it even all for? Like truly, you know? So it's not your fault, but it's also like now time to take responsibility for your health and time to take responsibility for your like happiness and success and your like vitality, because no one can do this work for you. It's nobody's job. If someone has a lot of allergies to trees, grass, will the herbs be a problem? No. And actually, if you're somebody that has a lot of allergies, then your liver is definitely overwhelmed. So like actually doing a detox is going to be really helpful for you. But like, of course, if you like if you do it guided, like we're going to check with your allergies and confirm that the herbs are not going to contradict it. But I've never had that before. But yeah, so no one's coming to save you. Like you have two choices. You either accept the conditions as they are, or you have the responsibility to change it. I'm not gonna, just for time's sake, I'm not gonna like go through this too much, but these are just like some of my clients that have been successful and have kept the weight off. Andrea, I actually just saw recently, she's now like 55 pounds down and she's kept it off like 4 years later. She's incredible. This is Amanda. She lost 25 pounds. I think it's probably more now too. That was an old one. 27 pounds. This one was an amazing one. Anna had chronic pain, Hashimoto's, depression. She was on like a whole bunch. She got into a car accident. She was on a whole bunch of medication. She couldn't do anything. Like the weight was just not coming off. She's now lost 50 pounds or almost 50 pounds and kept it off. But it's not just about the weight. Like this is about like you stepping into your most vibrant self. Like the weight and the symptoms are like shitty, but at the end of the day, like your body actually knows how to be healthy. It's working in every single minute, every single second just to keep you alive. Like it knows how to balance, it knows how to be healthy, and it wants that for you. And there's this like amazing opportunity for you to like not just release the weight and like not deal with hormonal symptoms anymore, but like really just like enjoy living your life, enjoy being in your body. And I think everyone just deserves that. It's changed my life anyways. And I just want it for everybody. Okay. So I told you if you want to go deeper, I'll tell you how. So we obviously offer the Mindful Detox. It's a 4-month program. If you're somebody that has a lot of parasites, a lot of pathogens, you might need to repeat a couple of months. And you can do that within the 4 months, or you can do that after you're done the 4 months and just follow up with me by email. We are right now locking in spots for January. So like we wouldn't start before January, but like I said, if you're doing it guided, we have a limited amount of spots just because we obviously need to coach all of you guys. So we're offering a $250 off code. I think it's detox 250, right, Rach?
Yeah, or we could use the New Year one and then it lasts a little longer.
Okay,
I,
let's
ha-
use.
I have it in the chat.
Okay, did you put it in the chat?
I
Oh,
just
oh, you're so cute. Amazing. Um, okay, so all of the payment plans are there. You can also go to my website, and I've done a whole video that explains the detox like month by month. But I said a lot of that in this call, so it might be a little bit redundant. And you can purchase it on the website as well. The New Year code ends Christmas Eve. So if you want to take advantage of the 250 off, you'd have to do it before Christmas Eve. And then the other thing is, and Rachel, I didn't even tell you this. This is something I threw in last minute. But so what the 4-month off, what you get in the 4 months is you have weekly live calls. You get the signature program. I'm going to update your protocol as needed. So if you're like, oh, I keep getting migraines, like, great, I'm going to muscle test you. I'm going to change things as needed. So you're just like working more intimately. It's more specific to you. We're going through the entire pathogen. So like not just candida, not just parasites, but like everything, like underlying viruses, H. pylori, whatever it could be. Then we do a gut healing protocol. You have 24-hour support on Slack and a community of women who go through the detox, which like honestly end up being your best friends. And then just for this masterclass only, I'm also throwing in 4 months of the membership. So if you're already in the membership, we would pause your membership access. If you're not already in the membership, then you actually get access to our membership, which is really, really great because in the calls and the detox, like I said, this is very mind body related. So you don't just like have parasites, you probably also are a people pleaser. You probably also like can't hold boundaries. And so like if we're seeing common emotional themes that are coming up, then you have access to our entire library of hypnosis, soul wound healing, all of that stuff, and I can guide you through the things that I want you to do on that. So that's really exciting. And Zahra, any chance toothpaste was before brand? It is. It is before. It is. Thanks, Steph. That's the one I like. Zahra, do I offer one-on-one for detox? Yes, that's the one. Do I offer one-on-one for detox and food psychology? I do not offer one-on-one for detox, but I do, and you really don't need it. Like the groups are small, so there's like typically like 5 people on a call maximum, like maybe 10. I've never even seen 10 on a call. And if the calls get too big, then we just create another group. But I do offer one-on-one for food psychology. Again, it's like I typically have a wait list and it's a really, really high price point. But the MFM program for food psychology, if you were to do MFM, you can also do the detox at the same time. And again, it's really small groups. So we keep it like really, really intimate. But if you want information on 101, just email us and I'll give you all the information for that. These are the other courses that we offer. So the Mindful Method is the food psychology program. If you're listening to this and you're like, yes, detox resonates, but I also binge eat, but I also like yo-yo diet, but I also have a terrible relationship with my body. The Mindful Method is probably the thing to do first. And then you get the detox at a reduced rate. So you don't even pay the full price of it. The Mindful Method course is Mindful Method just self-led, so there's no coaching. And then the psychedelic retreat, which we are actually just sold out. The next one is in Costa Rica. I mean, if you're like dying to do the psychedelic retreat, you can message us because who knows, like maybe somebody will drop out or something. I don't even want to manifest that, but we are full for that right now. And we do offer retreats like 1 to 2 times a year. Okay. How are we doing? Is that a lot? I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just let you guys ask questions if you have any. You can also like unmute if you want to.
I have a question.
Love to
Is sorry.
No, I have. I just like.
Oh, I think that was an accident. Go ahead, Kayla.
Okay, thanks. For if we want to get started with it, what kind of prerequisite work is required? Like blood work, checklist, anything like that? Like what's the protocol, I
No.
guess?
I if I need blood work, I'll know once I read your intake form.
Okay.
But I mean, if you have blood work, it's always helpful. The only time I really need, like, I muscle test, which I think is like just much better than blood work. But if I get really stuck, then I'm like, go to your doctor and get some blood work. But if you don't have like active, diabetes or like super high cholesterol or anything like that, then you're nothing. You're good. However, we do offer in the clinic like the Dutch hormone test and a food intolerance test as well. So if you want to do that and add it on, you can, but not necessary. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I had so much fun. You guys will get an email with the replay and the links. And again, like if you have any questions, just let me know. I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas if you celebrate. If not, just like a lovely winter season. And hopefully I'll see you all in January for detox. Yay. Okay, thanks guys. Ciao. Have a great, great evening. Bye.
Thank you so much.
No problem.